Hi there. In Holland we have this newspaper, Metro. I guess you have it in other cities too, and it's just a propaganda channel, which is quite pernicious because people really want to have something to look at when they're in public transport. I guess the solution to it is to not have public transport and drive around in a car, but of course then you're serving other interests. Mostly you're serving the same interest, but this edition has a whole spread of Shell pretending it's 1931, and here it's this is like the insanity of Shell. It's all Shell, it's all made by Shell. It says here, Sheik buys last barrel of oil for his old-timer. Shell announces that the last barrel of oil will be won under Antarctica. The oil has been sold to a Prince of Qatar for a million credits. So, what does it mean, a million credits? In 1931 we will have a different currency system apparently, according to Shell, and a million credits will be equal to a barrel of oil. So a credit certainly will not be a euro or a dollar. The oil will be won next week and will be visible, will be projected on hologramic things, which is of course very futuristic. It remains futuristic, although a hologram is an old invention by now. And somebody tweets, so Twitter is still around in 1931. Humanity has a dignified future where nature and technology go hand in hand, according to a tweeter. Of course this is bullshit, because in 1931 if you have the last barrel of oil from under Antarctica, there will be no future for humanity. That's the clear and present reality that we live in. But Shell doesn't like reality, Shell likes to make a profit. So, and even if we die having that profit, it still likes it. Here, congestion problem finally solved. After 5 years of building, it is finally here. The automatic highway has been opened. That's another idea that they're presenting here. Because the B1 is completely automated, the traffic jams on this route will be a thing of the past, and on top of that, the carbon dioxide emissions are reduced. Can you, let's say this, so they know about carbon emissions, and they pretend to worry about it, but they don't do like reality. Shell doesn't do reality. I think that company should be abolished, taken over. You know, why would you have a private company owning the most important resource for Western world, humanity, and pretending to tell us how to think? First egg without a chicken produced. First egg without a chicken is a fact. Finally it has been achieved to make an egg without a chicken involved. Yes, of course, because why the hell would you have a chicken involved with making an egg? It's a way to solve the chicken and egg problem. But of course, you know, nature sucks. That's what Shell is telling us. You know, we should hate nature. Try to replace it. Try to do something that has nothing to do with nature. That's cool. Here, print your own money. It's finances. It's really surprising how long it has taken for the European Commission to take this obvious step. From December on, all European citizens will print their own money. The price of the cost of the so-called inkjet printers has been reduced. And here the company Budget Press will give the needed printers. The company has been delivering those for 15 years to the Americans. This is quite funny. It says here, a company that has delivering printing presses for printing your own money to the US has been is now making way into Holland. Why would that be? 15 years from now, then you're trying 2000. Well, it's 2031. So I guess by that time we'll be printing money. Why? Because we have the same problem as the US, which is a dwindling oil supply and not a grasp over it, and not a solution, because we're trying to make eggs without making chickens. See what else. Energy to go. Oh, this is all still future news. There's all these high-tech things that are touted here, high-tech innovations. But the real issue is, of course, that Shell tries to make the gas transition as smooth as possible. And so when they say, well, we're going to reduce carbon emissions, they say, well, we'll use gas, we'll burn gas. But of course that does reduce the immediate emissions a little bit, and not significantly if you look into it. But all that gas will be burned, and there's a lot of it, and it will all be put into the atmosphere where it doesn't belong. Because if it was there, we already had, if it belonged there, we would already have a temperature 12 degrees hotter than we have right now, and we would all be tropical animals, not breathing oxygen, because there wouldn't be any oxygen anymore to breathe. There's only 4,000 years of oxygen left before we suffocate. I've calculated at the current rate, which is kind of interesting. Fish without water, floating to Hong Kong. This is about the floating train. It's all nonsense. Oh, here. It's a general solution. We have a project in Amsterdam that is a big disaster, which is a north-south line connection under the ground, and it of course has been exploding in cost, because we have a concrete mafia that always tries to put you in the situation where you cannot escape the project, and then pumps up the cost until you go insane. But here there's a general solution, a genial solution to the big effect, blah 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 blah. The plan of the consultancy DHV, which is a well-known Dutch architectural consultancy company, to oh no, it's a steel company, DHV Domhardt and Vervelend, which is a company that has been anyway, it's a promotional company for steel industry. To build a tunnel, to use the tunnel from north-south line as a water storage facility, which has been accepted. So we had a tram system in The Hague which was built, and some mistake was made, so it rained and it was flooded. So I guess this is the same idea, but it's done for water storage. Here. In spite of the millions of euros of measures taken last summer in the center of Amsterdam, it was flooded 4 times completely underwater due to heavy rainfall. Why would there be heavy rainfall that would flood Amsterdam? Companies and house owners have lost the faith in a solution and are selling their buildings in the center. The value of real estate in the whole interior of Amsterdam has been going down, so that it's equal to Dordrecht, which is a city that's not very popular. I'm not sure whether this is too interesting, but okay, so in 2030 the DHV consultant blah blah had the idea to use the north-south line railway system to carry the water when the clouds would rip, which is a Dutch expression, to basically have a place to put the water. After the announcement of the so well-known weather alarm, the underground railroad will be evacuated in 2 hours, and then of course it will be flooded. It's very, I think it's very confusing to, and I think that's the biggest, let's say, the highest form of joy, I think, for humanity for humans is to be duplicitous. I think that's a tragic fact. So you have to be, if you want to feel superior to the highest degree, you have to be duplicitous. You have to have 2 faces, or 3 faces, or 5, or 10, or something like that. And this is duplicitous because Shell is at the same time telling us they're going to use all the oil under the Arctic, which they should not, and that there's going to be dire consequences of climate change. Carbon dioxide has to be reduced. You will have weather alarms in Amsterdam, and the city will be flooded, and the real estate will be worthless, which is a true prediction. Now my question would be, what's going on here? Why are we allowing this to be in our newspapers? You know, why is this entertaining? It's just making me sick, this type of stuff. And it's, you know, what? Okay, so you're Shell. Printing your own food. You're Shell, and you want to be a decent company in Holland, but you demonstrate that you both know reality and you don't take it seriously. And it's just, and you say, well, you know, if you want to have this, you need oil from under the Arctic. But it's going to run out because the last drop is going to be sold in 1931. What's you going to do then? But we're not telling you to use renewables because there's lots of gas, which has carbon in it. It's just, to me, it's just utterly, a theory of art has been invented. Oh, how to make art. Fiat is introducing a new camel to replace the car. I just wrote a piece in Dutch about electrical vehicles, which is amazing thing, because so electric cars are really efficient. They go 2.18 kilometers per megajoule, where a normal car will only go about half a kilometer per megajoule. And that megajoule a joule is the unit of energy, and the megajoule is a million joules. And this is related to the oil. Let's say if you go from the oil at the well to the car, then if you calculate all the cost and etc., then electrical vehicles, even when they use electricity based on natural gas, are about 3 times more efficient than gasoline cars. But the real killer will be when you have of course, but electrical vehicles have a range issue. They cannot drive very far. So what you should do with electrical vehicles is allow the batteries to be replaced on the fly, and then you can have short-range batteries and long-range batteries, so that if you go from LA to San Francisco, you use a long-range battery in a battery replacement system that is in operation on that trajectory. But if you are home, you use your own battery. So on your way back from San Francisco, you pick up your own battery at the last station and you hand in the long-range battery, and then you have solved lots of problems with charging them and etc. Just like switching horses. And that's not a very strange thing. You go to a gas station and of course you make it automatic and all that stuff. And you can do all kinds of other stuff, charging at the traffic lights with your capacitors in your car. But the problem with the electric vehicles is that it's not allowed to replace the battery. And that's not a real, it's not like it's impossible, because you have luggage in the back, you have a real battery, car battery in normal internal combustion engine cars, which is only screwed with a few screws, and it's a block of lead, so it's, you know, on impact it will fly around. So that's a completely arbitrary rule. But that simple rule that you cannot replace batteries in cars that are electric makes it a real, let's say, makes it impossible to use that super efficient way of transportation. Anyway, my video is way too long, but I hope you find it interesting, and I hope you start hating Shell, because the company sucks.